Again. Today I'm gonna do a reenactment to Black Love. I will post the link to the podcast that I'm actually looking at and give my reenaction to some of the things they're saying. No, they ain't saying nothing too crazy, but there's some opinions that I would just like to give, to share with what the three ladies was talking about. So, with enough said, let's run the video.
Making a lot of noise.
That's okay. Live your life.
Go ahead and open it real quick.
Okay, we're busting wide open this coffee.
We're busting open the coffee.
It's a lot happening. This is my life.
We are people who need to be caffeinated. No judgment.
Yeah, this is my second chai tea of the day.
Is there any left?
Why, you want some?
Yeah. But not now. I have a little coffee in mine.
Okay.
One of the disagreements that we have is...
Yes, what they're gonna be talking about right here is about raising children. Disagreement of how you should raise your kids, and they make some good points, but there's also some things that I never really watched the whole clip, but I can tell that I know, especially in today's time, a lot of people have different ideologies of how to raise the children, which is okay, but there's generally a standard to how every parent's mother and father should raise their kids in a dual home. Singular homes, it's a little different, but between the mother and the father, there's a general standard, and that's across the board. I know we like to have I know you can tweak those type of standards and add certain things to it, but there's a general standard. But anyway, let's play the video and see what they say.
About HBCUs.
Really?
Specifically.
About what?
Buying out this wireless vacuum.
It's a commercial.
About what?
HBCUs.
Oh,
Riveting.
Specifically.
as you're wearing this.
Yeah,
Tell us
that's
more.
what made me. That's what reminded me, specifically as it relates to our oldest, who has always exhibited signs of exceptional learning abilities.
He's gifted.
Yes, he is gifted, and so I have to caveat that because I understand where Tommy's coming from. I'll explain. But I'm also like, can we just wait to discuss this, because there's pros and cons. And so I'll give you the baseline. For example, Tommy feels that if our oldest were to become a doctor, for example, he's like, that's a waste of his gifts. He should be an astronaut. When you think about the child, that kind of makes sense. But at the same time, not that doctors aren't smart. Okay, my whole family's
what about a
doctors.
surgeon?
That's why I'm using. Sure, they're all smart, but there's a certain amount of intellect
Versus skill.
Right, intellect versus skill. Yeah, that's required and honed. That is just different. So this is a conversation that we've had. This is a statement that my husband has made that he approved me sharing today.
No, this is deep.
that
wish he was
that
on
would be
here.
a waste of the particular skill, intellect, and gifts that he has if he is a doctor and not an astronaut. And I'm using those two as examples. That's the exact conversation we.
All right, so with this part with the husband, I don't think the husband is not okay with him being a doctor or a surgeon. For men, we, or as a father, or just men in general, you kind of don't want to have a limit to how far you can go. Because once you put in a kid's mind that this is the focus point, when you know the kid have a potential to do more, and sometimes it's not even that they might go more, it's the point of letting them know that this is not your cap, this is not your limit. You can do more than that, or you can be greater than that. In women, in some ways, it could be the same thing, but for men, particular, that the fact that we have to be the one to be haunting the world, as we say, making things work in the world for us to sustain it and to sustain ourselves. we can't limit ourselves to just a stand like a certain point. You have to be look beyond that point. Because once you become a doctor, I mean, yeah, you could say that's your, you're comfortable with that point. But the thing is, if you don't go beyond that, the all men, settle for this, right? It's like you gotta push boys to want to be more than what they are. You want to just settle for something. Now they might not go that far, but the goal is to let them know, like, yo, you have another level. It's like playing a game, like, when you play the game and you beat one boss, you don't want to be like, okay, well, the game is over. Nah, you be like, yeah, man, okay, now I passed that level, let me go to a different challenge. It's like life, Once you go through one obstacle and you survive it, you want to go through another obstacle, So I kind of get what her husband is saying, or most likely her husband is basically saying you don't want to limit him to just being a doctor. And it's not about just being a family man or anything like that. It's just the nature of men have to always be ready to take another step. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel.
Which is also why he's like, HBCUs, Howard in particular, fantastic. But undoubtedly, this is the Tommy perspective, undoubtedly, like, MIT is where he needs to be with the gifts that he has, right? And so I'm just like, this is a real conversation. Why are you making all those faces?
Because I am. Continue.
Obviously, I have an
Okay.
opinion
I have a-
that is very different than Tommy's.
Yeah.
And so
Because that's like low
I
key
am not-
coded.
Sure.
Okay.
I am not trying, sure. I am not
Okay.
trying to necessarily debate his opinion versus my opinion, but when you
Mm-hmm.
have such a deep disagreement about something
Yeah.
so substantial,
Yeah.
because no matter the gifts and the intellect and the skill, I feel like, number one, HBCUs are a safe space, right? Even when he uses like, politicians and people who've excelled who often went to like an HBCU for grad school, he's like, but they still did this for undergrad. So this is his perspective. Okay. But my point is,
Our secret sauce is really our culture of collaborative entrepreneurship. We work together as
this is his perspective. Okay. But my point is, when you have such a large disagreement about something so significant, how do you not just say, well, you're not going to have a say, brother? You know what I'm
But
saying?
neither one of you are, which
You're
you
not
don't
wrong.
even believe, which I know will probably be
Yeah.
true. He ain't gonna probably do either.
I mean, Jared has always been like, Kaya's gonna go to NYU. I was like, she may never see the inside of a college. Like, she may never. Like,
Colleges
these
won't
kids-
exist.
These kids. Who is the Department of Education? No, like, really. No,
Day-Day and them.
really.
They
What are they talking about? They
and
talking
them would
about that?
probably do a better job.
But no, really. But that's I think that's what it comes down to. I think specifically just about an issue like this, when it comes to what
Okay,
you
so,
want for your children.
All right, so hey, let me say this. I mean, no shade to the ladies, but women talk a lot. They put so much in between, like the points that they need to make. They just say it's like almost you just get distracted with all these other things. But anyway, just to get the gist of it, I can remember even in my situation. When it comes to this, like it's not really generally like a decision, but it's more of like an understanding, right, of how you, as two-parent mother, man and woman, we have these views, like, especially for girls and boys. So for me, it's like this. When it comes to girls, like I said, in a natural state in a natural structure of order, for women, her main functioning, especially raising a daughter, is to teach her how to be a woman in coming into an adult age and becoming a woman to a man, a wife to a man, or a lady that supports a man, right? That's what a woman is for. Right? That's her general functioning in the world. She has to understand that her position in life is to be next to a man, a wife. And the male side, he also have to be raised that your position in life is to be next to a woman, which means you have to learn to understand the things you have to do to sustain a woman. When it comes to what I've noticed about, especially in these modern times, we raise our kids based on feelings or things that things that makes them feel happy and things that make them feel good. And, kids are not generally supposed to be happy all the time. They have to go through the experiences up and down, sad, happy, they got to go through some failures. So by the time they reach of age, they can now deal, in a relationship perspective, they can now see things for what it is versus, well, when I was young, my mama this, mom, but you're not with your mama anymore. You're grown now. You're supposed to learn the things that you're supposed to do when you was young and implement them as you get older. But based on what his dad is to me, I think most men kind of go this route. You kind of want to raise your kids, especially boys, let me say boys, in the ability to feel that they have the world in their hands. And their job is to shape this world in a safe place or a security place where, you should be able to manipulate it to what you want it to be and live in the convenience to what you want it to be. Also with the idea of like you have to protect it, but also you're gonna have the ability or should have the ability to fight for it, to defend it. And like I said, in the woman's point of view, is the opposite. Now, if it comes to a point where she got to defend it, then hey, it is what it is. But it's not generally that's her position. That would be the last thing for her to do, right? Because the man will be there to shape that. This is the point I'm making when it comes to raising children. Like, women need to understand that, or not just women, just in present day today, people need to understand that it's man, woman, children. As you raise the children, there's two standards they have to understand. The male have to be able to raise in a position where he's strong. He has to be able to be brave. He has to be willing to take dangerous, to deal with dangerous tasks or do dangerous jobs, dangerous risks. The woman on the other side, yes, she should support that and be ready for the decisions and the things that he's making, because the things that he's making could be, it could be some dire situations. But at the same time, he's doing it for the sake of protecting and basically making the convenience of their life. In today's time, it doesn't have to be that extreme, but the kids still have to be raised in that frame to be able to protect, be able to maintain a structure, right? Be able to set some kind of guidance, be able to maintain rules, be able to maintain laws, give laws and maintain laws. Women nowadays, they can provide for themselves. So providing is not generally the main thing for a man. Well, not generally one of the things for a man to do. You could kind of like semi-take that off the list. So, but women now make money, right? They can now participate in the providing for themselves. The only time I say a man will probably have to step in fully is if is when the woman is pregnant. Is when she's pregnant. But beyond that, but after that point, once the baby's born and they're now growing up, by the time they start walking, or even before they're walking, the mother should implementing, educational principles and stuff like that, or basic principles. But by the time the kid is 5 years old, they should be able to know to clean up behind themselves and stuff like that. As you know, for boys and girls, for the boy and the girl, you teach them the same way growing up. Of course, you let them know they're different, but at the same time, they still have the same chores, if we want to use that word, right? They still have the same duties at the moment in time. They both have to clean, they both have to wash dishes, they both have to, help mama around the house, help dad around the house. As they get older, the mom and the dad can now sit back, between the age of 10 and higher, where the mom duties will become a little less in terms of like cleaning, washing clothes, you know, um, tidying up the house, making sure the rooms are clean. The kids now have to, and if you have one kid, of course, it's a little different. But if you have more than one kid, that's even better. This is just a normal, natural development for humans to structuralize their family. The kids are supposed to participate in doing the chores and stuff in the house. Um, Even with and it's gonna be a lot of decisions because, like I said, today's time, a lot of I can't speak for the men Pacific, but I pretty much think most men think kids should be able to do chores. Like they should be able to cook, clean, wash clothes, sweep the yard, sweep the house, vacuum the house, whatever, whatever. Do the things that they shouldn't have to do, because they're the one providing and making sure the house is sustained and there's a roof over the head, light bill, water bill, all these things are paid. Food in the house, they gotta buy them their clothes, right? So the kid's supposed to be the one sustaining the house. But for some reason, in these times, the motto is, oh, kids gotta be kids. They ain't supposed to do this. They gotta this. They gotta go out and play. Okay, yeah, they could do that after they get their chores done, after they wash the dishes. Now, what these things do, it prepare them for the real world. It prepare them for when they leave the house, right? That for boy and girl doesn't matter. When the boy and the girl leave the house, they know the boy know he have to cook, he have to clean, he have to wash his clothes, he have to keep his house clean, make his bed up, do these different things. The woman know the same thing. So when the man and the woman comes together, there's no like you do this and I do this. Most like the most of the house chores kind of tend to be on the female side because she generally be home more than the man does. Um, and then again, women kind of like to clean the house a specific way, but it is what it is. But when it comes to maintaining a household, it shouldn't matter whether it's the male or the female. If the woman decides to stay home, you know, at least she already have the understanding that I'll have to play a part because the man is doing this specific type of he's bringing on most of he got to go out to bring the bread home, so he's doing a workload that the woman is not taking on, which is a little more riskier versus what the woman is doing because she's in a safe place. He have to go into the dangerous place or the outside world to do what he have to do. So that's the balance of that situation. But back to the whole children situation. As you're raising the kids, the boy chores because this is just like remember the boy and the girl both raising together. The girl chores is typically the household work because it's more like a safety thing, right? The boy chores is typically the household chores as outside chores, like taking the trash out, cutting the grass, raking the yard, teaching them how to fix things in the house, stuff like that. For the woman, for the girl, it's a little bit different. Most of her chores are gonna be turned to the household, right? Help raising the kids, if there's any other kids. Help mom doing the laundry, cooking food, um, decorating the house, those type of things. It doesn't mean that she can't have, the both boys and girl ain't gonna have a future plan for their career about what job they want to do or some kind of a job they want to pursue. Then that's all good and dandy. And that's just the house section of it, right? Then comes educational at school point, like based on career points. For the woman, it's not that her career is limited, but her social nature is to be supported by her man. And these times, of course, it's a little different. But a woman's purpose in this world is to be supported, is to support and to stand by her man. Because the things that she does in her life is provided, created, maintained by her man, by men. So it's almost like you gotta appreciate the thing that convenience in your life. Like, for example, just a little side note, real quick. Men, we have to protect, which means we have to fight off other men, animals, right? Anything that of danger. We have to be stronger, right? We have to learn to fight. We have to learn to use weapons or whatever it is we have to do to defend ourselves. We have to be strong. So you have to stay in shape. You have to be, you have to keep endurance up, all of this good stuff. That's on the protection level. Then you have to gain knowledge. You have to have understanding. You have to have, education, right? You don't have to be the smartest man in the world, but you have to constantly learn things, right? That gives him an understanding how the world works and how to make discern decisions, how to articulately get, speak and deal with communication, as well as being stern to let people understand where he's coming from without, getting too confusing, right? You have to also to be able to, give direction. You have to maintain a structure. You have to have a structure, right? You got to be willing and ready, pretty much for anything. Knowledge is, this is why they say a great and a wise man. A great man is a wise man. A wise man is a great man. But it goes, I forget how they say it. I don't remember how they say it. But there's a saying for something about wise and knowledge. I don't remember how it goes. But a wise man is a man who have a lot of experience, right? And he can basically almost have an answer for everything. Or he's like an answer. Or I think a man with knowledge is a wise man or something like that. A man with knowledge become a wise man, and a wise man become, I don't know, I guess a god or I don't know, something like that. I don't remember. But the more knowledge you have, the more wiser you become. And sometimes it could be too, some people don't know what to do with it, but once you know how to manage yourself as a man, you'll know how to lead a village, right? Lead a society of people. So what I'm saying is this, basically, is men have to become those type of people. They have to be able to gain knowledge. They have to gain abundance of knowledge and abundance of experiences, good and bad, so they can be able to know how to operate in the world, because men can shape or destroy the planet, right? We structuralize or we convenience our lives, or the lives we have, especially for women, by men doing so, right? But with the context of you have to also understand how the planet Earth works, because we need the planet Earth. You have to be able to shape things on the planet Earth where you're not affecting it, but also sustaining ourselves. So that's knowledge and experience have to come with that. So boys have to go through a more rougher, tougher, upbringing or environment or experiences versus the woman. On the woman's side, like I said, even the boy have to do things like more physical things. I'm not saying the woman can't learn to do, plumbing, put a tire in a car and stuff like that. That's fine too. But the thing is, her 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 being is not generally that, right? The man is well capable because man is way stronger and stuff like he's well capable to manage those type of things. Imagine like the tools that we didn't have now. Women wouldn't be able to do the things that we could do because the tools the more basic tools that we used to use was a lot of man strength you gotta have, right? And most women don't provide that type of strength. And not to mention the energy, not to mention, women, have to be in a more, attractive position or pretty, if you want to use the word, in the nature scope of man's desires, right? So, you don't want to do into much aggressive stuff. It could change her structural design to like, you could turn off you could just not look attractive in some ways. So what I'm saying is this: the raising the children comes with some standards. It comes with some differences structurally for how both men and women are supposed to be raised. At the end, by the time they reach the point where they have to be courting each other, they already understand these values. They already embedded these values and these traits, right? He's already gaining his knowledge. He's trying to fit for his career. He got to work, da 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 da. And the woman know that, yeah, I go to school, like at college, I might get a job too, but I know my focus, my purpose is to be with a man, have children. Now, and I'm not saying that they have to have children. I'm not saying the man might have to have children, because people could not want to have kids. It's their choice, right? But the thing is, whether she do have kids or not, her purpose is still depending on the man being her protector and her guidance. I'm not saying women don't have guidance on their own, but if you pay attention to the way how nature works, the intelligence of a woman is relayed onto the man, and the man is to execute that information, right? But he also have to make the measurements. He have to analyze and execute that information, how he see fit for his, quality of life as well. Because you don't want him to do something extremely dangerous for himself where he could die and then, he's dead. You know what I'm saying? He got to be able to work in a safe environment or a safe, way so he can execute whatever it is she's saying or she requested or whatever idea she had. And he can be like, okay, I could do that. But I have to do it this way. You know what I'm saying? And she have to support it the way he chooses to do it. Or if she says she wants something, depends on what she wants, and he said, well, babe, that's not a good idea, or that's not right now. Give me some time, or let's focus on this first. Patience is the thing. You ain't going nowhere. If anything, support the agenda he have now, and then you can focus on the next agenda after that. So like I said, it doesn't matter if she want to have kids or not. She's still in that natural structure of my counterpartner is the male. My position is to support the male. So when it comes to they were talking about the education and stuff like that. What the father was doing is it's like giving to the son the ability to know, like, yo, one day you're gonna have a family, and when you have a family, if you, to have a family, you can't think small. You can't think like this is my limit. You know, you have to have different trades, different ideas, different goals, right? I mean, I don't personally, I don't like to even use the word goals anymore, but because it changes, you know, something goals changes. So, but different ideas to get things, different motivation, and sometimes you might fail at some of these things, and you know, the from let me say it a different way. He was telling her he want to be a doctor, but you gotta motivate the higher level. Like, now listen, son, I know you want to be a doctor. That is go for the doctor. Do that. But then once you succeed in that, the next mission is to become an astronaut. The message in there was this: being a doctor is only one thing. What if that don't work out? You know what I'm saying? Have more options in your bag than one. You know, that's like when my son, he wanted to welding. My thing was, you need another opportunity. How about the military? How about becoming a police officer? You know, how about doing plumbing? Go, always have different tricks in your bag. Don't just stick to one thing. Don't just be like, this is what I want to do and that's it. Based on what she was saying is that, well, you want to be a doctor, and then that's what we're going to focus on. We don't need to do nothing else. You know, I'm hoping that's not the direction she was going. It didn't seem like she limited that, but at the same time, the argument was more like, he want to do this, and I'm going to support this. There's no point for us to push for that, because he's not going to do that. He's only going to do this. Dad know how men, in a man's world, we can't be limited to one thing. We have to do more than one thing. Or even if you don't do that one thing, or, you know, successfully, you know, use it as an income or whatever, you can have the knowledge for that multiple thing. And the knowledge is what really this is what he's pushing for. You know what I'm saying? No, he might even succeeded in, you know, with the knowledge that he gained and become the astronaut. But the goal is to say, even if I don't become an astronaut, I have the knowledge to do so. Or I have the eager to know I can be higher than where I am. And he could accomplish to being a doctor. But even though he accomplished being a doctor, he don't have to feel like I'm trapped or I'm limited to this and I don't know nothing else. What if he broke his hand and he can't be a doctor no more? What else is he supposed to do, right? He have to have the motivation in the back of his head, like, I can do something else. Like, this is just not the end of me. You know? Once his energy, once his, how I should say, once his ego, his confidence, his drive is not, you know, dead. You know, he's not depleted. And based on the fact, if you have a woman by him, she can keep that motivation going. Like, babe, okay, so I understand you can't be a doctor no more. You lost a couple fingers, whatever the case is. But guess what? You can now go into something else. You don't need, you know, I mean, I said he lost a finger, but you don't need all your fingers to do this. You know what I'm saying? You always wanted to be, you know, dealing with computers or something. How about, or you be an accountant or whatever, right? If you don't make it to the astronaut or being an astronaut, at least you could work at NASA, right? So what he's saying is, like, for men, you can't have the mindset of limitations. That's what the dad is saying. Because I know for a fact that's how I teach my son. I don't teach my son to be like, well, this is what you're going to do? Okay, that's it. No, I said, What else? What about this? What about that? But I understand, it's good to it's good to see women talk and try to understand each other. Now, the lady in the black now, I don't know, I think she's a little bit more, I don't want to use the word modern, but I think she's a little bit more on the softer side where it's like, whatever I say, or if this is what he want to do, why push him to do anything else? Why? Because in even in the world where, as the mother is saying, this is the limits for him. In a woman's world, that's accepted, right? But when it comes to a man, women want a man to be the best he can be. Also to have options, not for like options in terms of female, but options in terms of skill, right? So when one skill fail, he have the confidence to do another. And sometimes to have the confidence to do another is to have the knowledge to do another, or to know that I'm not limited to just one thing. As a man, you always have to have this, what's next? What's next? What can I do now? What can I do now? Right? You can't just be like, because when it comes to women, I'm not saying women do this, but women are forced into a society or a world that they're living now to become masculine, to become, and I'm not saying women shouldn't be survivors or they shouldn't be go-getters or anything like that, but the forcement of it brings out a side in them that is not pleasing to most men. It makes them a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more, like a man point of view, aggression, right? Because like I said, men need that rough, lonesome, problem solving, struggle bending, noisy type of environment where they have to learn to cope with a lot of things and be able to maneuver to these things and success. And men who success to those type of endeavors, those type of trials and tribulations, those are good men. They know how to deal with situations very easily. They can walk in a crowd that making a whole bunch of noise and not be annoyed by everybody by every different personalities, because he already know and experience, he already have the knowledge, let me use that, he already have the knowledge and experience growing up of all these distractions, and he still have to pull through all these different distractions, and he can also sustain these people because he could see that they're not in a straight line. So that's to me, if I understand correctly, that's what the dad was trying to point out. He's trying to point out that right. He was trying to point out that, I understand how you feel, baby. I know he said he want to do this, and I know you're going to support what he want to do. That's fine. But that's not, he needs to go higher. Now, from her point of view, I don't know if he explained his reason. I know I kind of just running a lot, kind of ranting a little bit, but I don't know if he explained his reason why he think he should go higher. Because like I said, some women talk there, they kind of like do a lot of fillers. I really wanted to hear what the girl in the black wanted to say.
To what you want for your children's future versus how you're parenting them, right?
Yeah.
We don't know. Like our children's future, we have all the ideas of what we want our children's future to look like, but they're ultimately going to make
Yeah.
choices and decisions that are
Yeah.
going to determine that.
But also,
We
what are you
kinda-
introducing them to?
Well, that's true too. I mean, but I think that from your perspective, in this particular situation, you guys are both introducing these ideas separately. And I think that that's actually also important as parenting when
Yeah.
it comes to your kids, like letting them know all the things that are
Yeah,
available.
that's good.
What speaks
Right.
to you? What do you feel like you're
Yeah.
drawn to? What do you okay? You want to go tour MIT and Howard? Let's go.
You
Yeah.
actually just gave me a good idea, like an answer to, because this is a years long conversation that we've been having,
Girl.
and maybe ultimately from a parenting standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
he and I need to agree that neither of us will push him or them in a direction.
In other words, ain't nobody taking any trips anywhere, but I'm just gonna take him on a boys trip or a girls trip, and then come back with all the
Right.
the MIT
Like,
stuff.
I'm a represent,
right.
and I'm sure he will do the same. But
Right.
we have to agree
Yeah.
that the line is we're not going to tell him what to do
Right.
Yeah.
or where to go. We'll agree on tours one day. So truly, I didn't. It's now very simple in my brain, but I was like,
Felt
I want to
very-
fight you because
But also, I think of it too, like, me and Chia aren't the same religion. And we,
All right. So before she going, yeah, that makes some good points. I kind of touched on a little bit about what they both were saying in terms of the kids choosing their own, destiny, what they want to do. Boom, boom, boom. The people behind the parents that just kind of like encourage them and push them to do whatever they want to do. But but like I said prior, is in the guidance. There's a structure for both children. You still can't just let them do what they want to do, because them leaving it up to them, they're just gonna think whatever, as parents, they're looking for you for guidance. So whatever they want to do, they're looking for you for guidance. But at the same time, you still got to say to the daughter, depends on the subject, depends on the career she's going for, actually. Baby, you're gonna be a wife one day, and don't say you don't want kids now, because you might say that now, but then when you reach older, it's a whole different biological conversation you're gonna have. You know what I'm saying? So why not look for something that you can sustain yourself, unless you know for a fact, this is what you want to do. Like say they turn 16, 17, between 16 to 17 to 18. Before you know for a fact this is what you want to do, don't make certain type of decisions. So I would say go for this type, if you want to do this, that's fine. But just know that at some point, you might not have the job anymore, or you might have to do something else. Or if the job, have like increments where you could take off by having kids, da, 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 da. And then again, you also got to think about, like, do you want to be a stay-at-home mom raising your kids, or do you want to be a mom that go to work, or at least stay home for the first 6 months? 3 to 6 months, I think. Yeah, 3 to 6 months, and then go back to work. Or do you want to just stay home for the whole, for at least by the time you turn 5? Or you just want, or you're going to be the person who just don't want to have kids at all, right? Right now, it's not a time to make that decision, but at the same time, you gotta instill in daughter. Remember, she was raised to be a wife, a woman to support a man. That's all functioning goal. That's all functioning natural behavior. That's all functioning nature operation. For a woman's functioning operation is not to be a boss. It's not to be some kind of leader or some kind of working force independently or anything like that. A woman functional structure is to be a supporter and a mom next to a man. And a man's functioning structure, naturalistic, functional nature is to protect, secure, guide, and structure, as well as uphold law to his family. You have to be that symbol. The men have a little bit more tasks than the women do. The woman is to nurture, support, be caring, and as all the other extra stuff that comes with it. So you shouldn't have to tell her what to do. But like I said, you don't want to give the kids the mindset that their path is to be flopped. Where it's like, the woman could do what the man do and the man could do what the woman do. No, then you do that, you're going to disrupt the functionality between a man and a woman. And this is this is the problem we're having today. So what they're talking about is not bad. It's nothing really bad about it. It's just, I just wanted to put some opinions on it and saying that, maybe some people don't understand in a man's point of view. Because I get from the woman's point. She's going based on like the decision making. Most women go based on the decision making. Whatever the kids say they want to do, that's what they're going to do. She might have an idea to say do something else, but she's going to she's going to focus on what the passion is for the kid. The father or the males, we're going to be like, that's a good idea, son, but you got to do more. No, the girl in the black, I want to hear what she got to say.
Just agreed to introduce our children to ourselves. Do you know, individually? And so within that, your child will make their own decision. Our children could look at me and be like, "Ooh, she is a crazy kind of Muslim." You know what I mean? That's ghetto. I don't want to do that. Or they could look at their dad like, "Buddhism, he seems so calm."
Yeah.
It might be the option for me. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I think that our children will be called to be who they are.
Yeah.
Really, it's about the environment that you raise your child in, where they feel honored to be themselves, regardless of what their parents want. That really has to be you and Tommy's focus, because I think it's actually okay if you go hard for Howard and he goes hard for MIT.
Mm-hmm.
Like, great. Like, because you think about people whose parents like different sports or different opposing sporting teams or whatever. Like, my mom was a big this fan or whatever. Like, and it's cute and it's a thing. And
Well, this is less cute, but
well, it's less cute to you.
Yeah.
But I think if you, speaking of marriages in general, right? One thing that I've accepted is that me and Chi are just different people. And if I want to stay married, I have to accept the fact that he's just not going to do things the way that I want him to do them. Like, it's just never going to happen. Do you know what I mean? So I think a lot of my maturity in our marriage is starting to be of me being like, I'm just going to let him do things the way that he wants to do them.
okay, but what's an example of something where you feel very strongly and he feels very strongly? Like, there are plenty of things where we choose, I'm just going to let this go. I want to know from y'all, what are the things where you're like,
Fuck you, bro.
Hey y'all, this translator pen is no joke.
it's where you're like, I do not.
Oh, every
I
single thing.
refuse.
Chia is too relaxed in most areas that I'm not. You know what I mean? In parenting. And the thing is like we're the complete opposite. I get like immediately want to say something to our kids about something. He wants to be more relaxed, but then when it keeps happening, I'm just like, fine, I'm letting it go. I don't care anymore. And then he gets super upset, and I'm like, well, if he would have said something in the first place, we wouldn't be here right now, because he was being all chill and Buddha-like. You know what I mean? And I just feel like we approach everything very differently, everything, and it.
All right. So in her situation, it sounds like her husband is more fluent. Like I was saying, a lot of people today, they kind of let their kids kind of just make their decision and, just to go on with whatever it is they're trying to do, right? I'm not saying they don't have their kids in structure, because they seem like based on how she's talking, I think she's a very nice person, and they have very good control of the kids in some ways. But I think they give them a little bit. Kids should have freedom, but they should be in a structural freedom zone. Like, if they playing or decision making and stuff like that, like she was saying, the kid's doing something that might be a little bit out of the way, and he's like, it's cool. Like, for example, okay, say a boy's outside digging up the dirt, whatever, He's like, yo, I'm not comfortable with him. He could get, answers. So she's like, no, he's fine. He needs to go and enjoy the earth. Like, he learned to play with the snakes, the worms and stuff in the ground. For the girl, girls do the same thing too in some way, some sense. But she might want to move more of like, doing something in the house, or not getting dirty or whatever the case is. And then it is what it is. So he might be in that laid back type level where he's like, if he fall down, he'd be like, he'd be alright, you know. But she'd be like, no, 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 you gotta make sure you don't fall. And he'd be like, nah, he gotta fall sometimes. He gotta know to go fall and get back up on his own. Like, you know what I mean? Even for the girl, like she might fall and she might have to get back up on her own. It is what it is. Then they gotta learn to deal with their own pain, their own situation at some point. And it's an education for them when they get older. Mom and daddy's not gonna always be here, right? So for her, she's like, which is typical for most women now, what I think. She's more like a cuddler. Like she's like right there. Like nothing should happen without her saying so. So I think she's a little bit more in control, like controlling. Not to 100%, but I think she's a little bit, just a little bit more controlling, where she's like kind of manage a little bit. He's more like let the kids experience what they need to experience. But the thing is, I don't like I said, I guess she's gonna explain a little bit more about that. I don't know if she's gonna go that far, but the father, ah, let's let's just say he's just a little bit more free minded, for the kids can now tend to do their own wrongs and rights. You know, learning their own wrongs and rights by natural instincts, which is good, which is good. Or he's just more like don't really say much. You know what I mean? You got some men out there who wasn't raised to be good men and be structural leaders. They kind of don't know how to implement that idea back onto the kids because they might feel like they don't want to hurt the kids. They don't want to yell at them. This, and the third. She might be a little more rough with it, so she could like shout, you know, yell at them or whatever. So that's that. It depends on the parent. Like I said, we live in a world today where people who are having kids wasn't raised the right way. And even though they just don't know at all, they're not even willing to learn. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Let's finish seeing what she got to say.
It could be an everyday argument. I just have decided that I'm not going to say anything about 99% of the things that he does, except for the things that really, really, really bother me.
Like what?
Like the way, you know, this is just my marriage. It's very important to be. No, I mean, like recently, like we were just getting into it a lot about like how our day goes. For example, like there's just so many things. I don't even know where to begin. There's so many things that are stressing me out right now. It was just like they're dumb things. So I feel like I like to preference this with like I love my husband. We have a great marriage, and
We know, girl, every
he's
week.
my partner. No, but I feel like some people. Okay, let me say this. I'm talking a lot. I'm rambling. Let me start with this,
Yes.
and I'm not being shady. There are different types of marriages, right? So some people are not getting their basic needs met, which is like fidelity and general respect in their marriage. So when I talk about my marriage, sometimes I don't feel comfortable doing it because I'm past that point.
The grand scheme is that he's positive. It's
Yes.
good. Yeah,
But a
for
lot
sure.
of people aren't getting their basic needs met. So when you hear someone like me talk about or complain in my marriage, people are like, oh my God, like she's tripping. And I'm like, no, you're still at level 1. And I'm not being shady. It's just like, girl, like that bare minimum is someone being faithful to you and respecting you as an individual. Like that should be bare minimum to me in a relationship. So then once you get past that, now we're talking about like real things where you have to engage with someone every single day and like communicate and try to like compromise. And those are the little things are what really matter in a marriage. Like it's the littlest shit. How someone like cleans up after themselves in the morning. Do you know what I mean? Do you pick up after yourself? Are you walking past something 15 mother effing times and then I'm the person who walks past and picks it up and like, so none of y'all saw this right here? Do you know what I mean? Like those are the things that could end your marriage. So it's like,
Oh, yes.
yes, it's usually not like infidelity or anything like.
Okay, so I see where she's coming from. Yeah, but like I said, when it comes to not being raised in an adult family, and you teaching your daughters to clean up behind herself, you see your mom clean up behind the kids, you know, boom, 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 boom. Dad also helping out, doing some cleaning here and there. But it depends on, like I said, when it comes to the dad, it depends on his job ethic. If his job is where he have to work throughout the day, which means he don't come home till like 6 to 6, you're not gonna expect him to do anything in the house. You know what I'm saying? Maybe on his day off. Maybe on his day off, he might take one day where he just sleep all day, and then maybe go chill. You know, y'all hang out later on that night. You know, and then the next day he might try to, do some kind of house chore or something. But most cases, you can't expect a man to go work from 6 to 6 and then come home and then be like, "Let me help you sweep the floor." No, that's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Even if she's working, even if she's working, hot puts more. In most men cases, they don't want their women doing heavy duty jobs where they have to be stressed out when they come home. So if she's working and she's doing, you know, something like let's say she's working at a hotel or something, at a desk clerk or whatever, 9 to 5, right? She come home, and most likely it could be a part-time thing. But let's say she's doing a 9 to 5, and she come home, he's working 2 times that. You know what I'm saying? So the only thing he have time for is sleep, because he have to go back the next day to work for the next 16 hours. Or if you want to really call it, it's more than 16. It's like 17, 18 hours, right? So he don't have time to come home and want to do anything in the house. You gotta eat. Like, if you have a man like that, you can't think logically. You gotta think in your mind, like, would I want her to work 16 hours and come home and clean my house? No. You're gonna do it on the day off. You're gonna do it on the day you feel refreshed, right? So let's say he work 5 days a week, and the job that most men to do today is physical, right? So say he works, say he's a plumber. Plumbing job could take a long time, and it's treacherous, right? You could get hurt, right? So 16, he do is to pick up 6 and leave there about 5 in the morning, go to his site, don't come home till like 6, 7 o'clock at night. You're not gonna expect this man wanna help you do shit. So if he come home and he kick his shoes off, run straight to the bathroom, knock off his clothes, just jump straight in his bed, you're gonna go to this man and be like, "Oh, you gonna pick up the clothes? Couldn't you put your clothes this way? Couldn't you put your clothes?" In the bed, yeah, I try to put them in there, but I missed the basket. But I'll be honest with you, I'll do it later. I'll do it when I get up in the morning, or when I get up later to take a pee or some shit like that, if I remember. No, you gotta do it right now. You gotta do it right now. I'm saying, like, women gotta understand that. Now, like I said, she could be working too. That's fine. Okay, babe, just leave it there. Who cares? Pick it up later. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to pick. You don't have to pick on me for certain things. Because imagine, let's say it's you. You wake up, you tired. Running about because of throw, you miss the basket. Sometimes when you come out the shower, you're not thinking. You might even forget, but you're not even thinking that your clothes fell on the floor or whatever. Next minute, that you didn't even go in the bathroom, but in the next couple hours or maybe by the end of the day or whatever the case is, because you've been downstairs the whole time, right? So now he come home, go in the bathroom. There's clothes in the bathroom, on the bathroom floor. Should he say, "Yo, you leave your clothes on the back. I've been working all day. I come home and your clothes is on the bathroom floor"? What would you say? "I forgot, baby. It was a mistake. Da, 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 da. I was taking a shower and I took my clothes up to them. I wasn't really paying attention. The shower felt so good. I lost concentration. Boom, boom, boom. I decided I was gonna do it later, whatever the case is, but I just haven't got to it." It's the same process. You know what I'm saying? The only difference is he's killing. He's working hard as fuck. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes the kids need to see the parents go through a little argument, not a whole lot, not when they're really young, but as they get older, they should see how you and your woman deal with your in arguments. They should hear y'all go through a little argument and observe it. See how y'all handle situations. So this way, when your son and your daughter become, they go out there and they'll seek their significant other, and they go through these arguments, they could use the ideas and implement some of those coping way of dealing with arguments with their significant other. It's good to show them, because what I think a lot of people do is mask or hide from the kids seeing fights and arguments. Long as it's in a safe environment, like a controlled environment, because some of them be too extreme. Some of them will be too extreme. But let's say your mom and dad got into an argument, da, 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 da. But let's say they're both in the teenage age, right? They're going through da 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 da, da. And then they sit down and they talk it out and they learn to, you know, solve their conflict. And the kids see that. Guess what the kids gonna do when they go out with their significant other and they go into their emotional back and forth? They're gonna see, okay, well, my mom and my dad always do it this way, and then if we come to a disagreement, we decide to either come back to it later or whatever the case is, and then we put it on the table and then we say, listen, what do you like about this? What do you like about this? This is what I think is what it, okay, we have to come to some kind of understanding. Well, let's give and see what, we can give and take. And it's always good to have these conversations. There's nothing wrong with it. I just, in her point of view, I think she's a little bit annoyed because I don't know how her man works. Because, it could be a cup, right? Because sometimes people have bad habits. She could pretty much have bad habits as well, but she don't notice her bad habits. The thing is, he might see her bad habits that annoy him, but he don't really say anything. He just, either fix it or he just leave it for her to fix. Whichever way, he just don't say anything. What some people do is they complain about what the other person is doing, but not realizing like that they themselves do things that annoys the other person, but the other person don't complain about it. They're just like, oh well, my girl, she left the cup here again. Let me just pick it up, put it in the sink. She probably forgot it. Then she did it again. She did it again. She do it again. After all them 5, 6, 7 times that she did it, you might tell her one time, babe, you left the cup on the whatever. I put it in the sink. I'm just letting you know, you forgot it. I mean, it's pretty normal that you do it, but I just let you know that you forgot it. Then she did it more times after that. He don't complain. He just put the cup in the sink. Because he know that's one of your habits. That's one of your traits. So it's not a dire trait to complain about, if anything. It's not a dire trait to break up a home or to. And then this is the part that I was wanted to go in, because like she was saying, it's so many things. When she said that, it was like a click. See, what she's doing now is this. He leave the cups on the table, he don't move it. He come home, I know he works hard, I understand, but still, it's not hard for you to take your clothes and just put them in the hamper. Or put them in the laundry room. Then he got food on the table, I make his plate. He don't even put the plate in the sink. At least you could at least do that. Maybe I need to talk about that. I'm not saying that's a bad idea. He should probably put it in the sink. But sometimes you might just have to tell him, You might have to tell him multiple times. Eventually you're going to get it. You know what I'm saying? Well, I shouldn't have to tell him multiple times. Listen, this is who you with. You're going to have to tell him multiple times. Just like I'll have to tell you multiple times, at least put the cup in the sink, but you don't do it. Same shit. Pet peeves, right? What she's doing, she's adding. She's adding. She's adding all these little small things. You know what I'm saying? Like, so sometimes he probably don't help her. Or say she wanted the kids to go to McDonald's, and he was like, no. She said, what's wrong? It's just to get some. He's like, no. Let's go somewhere else, or whatever the case is, or cook some food or something. I ain't got money to go to McDonald's, right? She could use that even though he might be right, he might have a reason why he's saying that. To her, no, you're controlling. Then you got the tea, you got the plate, you got the clothes. He's not leaving his shoes. When he take his shoes off, he's not sticking them in the shoe rack as he's supposed to. You know, don't come in the house with dirty shoes. Whatever it is, she's got all these little nitpick things. Now, what happens is, down the line, it could be 5 years later, it could be a year, it could be 6 months, it could be 2 days. Down the line, what I see that based on what she's doing is adding all these petty things versus just saying, if you gotta repeat it 100 times, who cares? This is your man. Like, sometimes you gotta repeat shit. And eventually, at some point, because she already said some basic things have to be met. Right? You already should know that especially people supposed to for a long period of time, that you should, yeah, but it was never a practice. So I don't have to do, and even if it was a practice, some days I just don't feel like doing it. Right? So she's adding all these nitpicking things, and eventually as you keep compiling all these nitpick. When the conversation come up and she said, I don't want to be with you anymore, he's like, why? She can be like, it's a lot. It's so many things. He can be like, well, how long you been feeling this way? For the last 5 years. Have it been 5 years you've been holding on to bullshit? Well, it's not just one thing. It's just when it started. So for 5 years, you started to add nitpicking shit and then pile it up together. So, okay, today, at this moment in time, give me one thing that you could complain about. Well, whenever you eat, I said you could just wash the plates off and then put them in the dish rack so I could just wash them. Honey, okay, that's fine. Don't I do sometimes? Yeah, but you don't do it enough. You hardly do it. Sometimes I'll be too tired, man. I don't have time for this shit. I don't even have time enough to eat. I don't want to sit there and watch no goddamn plate out. I'm tired. But you're home all day. Or you have one job. Your job is not as critical as my job. I'm not saying you're not working, but I'm just saying, think about what I'm doing and how tired I have to be to come home. I'm just happy to be home. And now I have to deal with you complaining to me about washing the fucking plate out. That's adding on to my stress. Well, how was your day? What did you do at your job? What did you do to your job to stress you out? You ain't got to run with the kids. Matter of fact, why are you asking me to wash the dishes? You got grown. So the kids are of age. So they're 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. Let the kids do that shit. Why are you telling me to do it? Am I your child to order me around? If I put a plate in the sink, you supposed to say, Tisha, Mark, go wash the father plate out and push it in the dish rack. Why are you telling me? Oh, go pick up your father clothes off the floor and put them in the dirty hamper. Why are you telling me? That's what the kids are for. I'm not raising kids for them to not aid my life while I'm taking care of them. And that's their purpose. Children are made to sustain the world, of course. But before that, their job is to help the upbringing, to help labor the household. So I don't have to do it. So I'll just be able to go to make the money. And in the context of doing that, they're also learning how to be responsible and to keep their household clean, as well as learning how to bond as male and female because they're learning the traits that they're supposed to do. That's how it's supposed to be done. It doesn't seem like she was raised like that. The other lady with the heels, she seemed a little bit more understanding, because her thing is like, well, I mean, the stuff you're arguing about, it, it doesn't seem like you guys like handle, like, how do you handle that type of situation versus just saying, you know what, I don't want to deal with this. You know what I mean? She seems like when it comes to Rika, she kind of let her man make the decision, or she kind of fall back and be like, you know what, fine. I mean, I could still, it's not like her opinion still doesn't count. Her opinion do count. Her ideas do count. But she's just saying, like, fine, if you want him to heighten his mind to beyond what he's thinking is, because that's how you stretches a man's mind. You want him to maintain room for growth, right? For a woman, her growth is stunted to a certain point. There's only so far she can go. Because she's just, whether that woman become an astronaut or not, she's still a helper. That's the thing. It doesn't matter what she does in life. She's still aiding men to succeed or to build the things that she can be useful to or to use in her life. It doesn't matter. But anyway, let's carry on because I really want to hear what she got to say. Cause she did give a little example, but I want to hear her go into it.
That when people are like, why'd y'all get divorced? The little things you kept nitpicking.
Yeah.
Then when something big happens,
It breaks it.
it breaks it.
Yes.
Because now I've been irritated.
Yeah, cracks in the foundation.
Exactly. Yeah. What were you about to say?
Well, I'm saying I'm not even talking about just like marital ending things as much as like
That's
And
not
see,
fair.
that's
as
what I was
people-
talking about, and I
as
just break
people
that
who
down.
are married
That's what
and
she's talking
partnered,
about.
who are
'Cause she's at
raising
that point where she's
children,
getting
there are
tired
going to
of
be
it.
things like if Chia.
For a limited time, you have the opportunity to
I have no idea the original conversations y'all had around homeschooling,
Mm-hmm.
but if for some reason he was like, no, absolutely not, like
That
what
would
are-
never happen.
But right, I feel
So
like y'all
nobody's
just
drawing a
agree on
hard
everything.
line when it comes to the parenting with you guys. 'Cause
any
you,
piece of
you
it.
guys are fairly aligned.
Because I would never have married someone who hardlined me.
Yeah.
That's not gonna work with
That's
me
fair.
and my personality.
Girl, I get a lot of hard lines.
Yeah,
Tommy is
well-
a boundary creator. Like,
Yeah.
he sets his boundaries.
And I think that you guys didn't date very long.
Nope.
So, these are things that you have to know. We're in the same boat. The only difference is I knew Chia for 4 years before we ever dated. But I would never have slept with him none of that if I hadn't known him, because I know my personality and I cannot deal with hardline people because I present that way, but I'm actually not like.
And see, this is what I'm saying. This made my point. She wasn't raised to understand that your position is to be, or I wouldn't use the word ordered, right? But your position is to be guided, right? Generally, a woman's life is basically guided based on the man she's with. It's moved based on the man she's with. Now we're in a whole new modern time, and we have a dysfunctional guidance of nature to how man and woman operate, and it's completely dysfunctional. So a lot of people gonna agree like yeah. But what I'm saying is, naturally, not nurturally, naturally, the woman life is guided by a man. I'm not saying that she's, again, even though it's guided, even though it's shaped based on the man she's with, it still doesn't take away her strength. It doesn't take away her intelligence. It doesn't take away her independence to do anything that she wants to do on her own or influenced by the man or whatever. It doesn't change none of that. It's just that you have to work with an environment based on what she does can affect him, her family, and the world. Because what women do affects the world. Because if their mindset is not directed, it can, as you can see, women are easily influenced. So other women is gonna take heed to that, and they're gonna be like a ripple effect, and they're just gonna as we can see presently today, that's what the ripple effect is. When one woman push back and do something, other woman is like, oh, and then next minute is like, all your hair in his belly, Now you have a swarm of women going like, and then and then some of them might say, well, I understand where she's coming from, but I still agree with what the man doing. But I still think she's right. You can't double take a situation. You got to choose one. And so that's what she's going. And you could tell she was raised by she's a single. She was upbringing of a single parent. Most kids, unless you was a single child. Now, if you're a single child, you might have a little bit of controlling issues or stuff like that because it's just you didn't have to share anything with nobody. But if you're a kid who's grew up with multiple kids or multiple kids around you, you're generally gonna know that the world is not just around you. So I don't think she was raised that way though. I think she just was raised as a single mom. She don't like seeing her mom behind before, and in her mind is like, I could do what I want. You don't need to tell me anything. Da, 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 da. That's the mindset she have.
And I'm actually very flowing, will change my mind very quickly, and I'll be like, okay, cool, whatever. So I can't be with someone that is like that. It's not gonna work for me and how I live my life because I know I'm gonna change my mind. So for us, Chia and I had these talks. I was like, the hard lines for me were though that my children are never gonna eat pork while they're living in my household, and we're never bringing pork in our household. That was like kind of, and I said I'm going to homeschool my kids. Those were the only two things, non-negotiables for me. And if he wasn't cool with that, then he could have walked away. But he was like, all right. I'm like, everything else, whatever, we'll figure it out as we go. As long as you cool with that, then I'm open to whatever you suggest. It's just that Chia gets in his mind about how he wants to do something, and he's actually not as go with the flow as I thought he was, or that he thought he was. And that there lies the issue. Do you know what I mean? Because now we've created a system, and when I want to change the system, if I feel like it's not working, he is a regimented, ritualistic person. Very ritualistic, and that's what brings him peace and comfort because of how he grew up, right? So for me, that creates a lot of conflict because when I want to change the plans or do something, he's like, no, because we said we were going to do da 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 da.
See, and like I said, going back to it again, she's shaping her life outside of him, even though she's in his life. A woman can do whatever she wants to do, but you have to be within the confinement of the man she's with. Or what's going to happen is, as we already know, she's going to leave that relationship and go with another man. And guess what? The same thing is going to happen. She's going to have to live within the confinement of a man. Because remember, the man have to protect the woman. So whatever she does could affect his life or his structure designed for the safety that he's maintaining, or his ego that he have, right? So she have to work within his confinement to how he can manage and be able to deal with the world. Keep it on a straight path. If she decides she don't want to go with what he's doing, he now have to readjust or reshape the things that comfort in his survival structure for him to not be in an unsafe environment or to be in a safe place. Also, like she said, he have a rigid mind. He have an idea he want to go with it. It's not that he's rigid. We set a structure. We had a plan. Stick to the plan. I'm not changing it. Now you could tweak the plan. But what's okay? What you want to change about the plan? Well, I think we should have. I think we should widen the walkway a little bit more. You know what? Let me think about it. You might be right. Instead of parking widening it, so we could park 2 cars side by side. That might be a good idea. Let's see how it works with the city. Da, 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 da. Let me look into it. Okay, he could look into it, see it. If he be like, well, you're gonna cost me this amount. This will cost me this more money. And you might, it's gonna take away more time. You're gonna take more time, right? Do we have the money to spend? The time I could probably deal with, but do we have more money to spend? Or maybe the money's not the problem, but I want it done by this time. So he'll be like, okay, babe, I don't think I could do this. I don't think that's a good idea. I know you want to park, have a two-car garage, driveway, whatever the case is, but I don't think we can do it. But that's the time, the money, he made the decision, like, let's just, okay, how about this? How about we do it later? Whole thing is she will get upset because he's not doing it right now. Okay, since you want to do, what I would do is this. If you want it to get done right now, there's two things going to happen. One, if the money is the issue, you're going to have to add the rest of the money. Why do I have to add the rest of the money? Second option is, if it's the time, you're going to have to manage, or you're going to have to be accepting that it's not going to be done in the timely manner you want it done. It will be done, but just not the way you want it done right away. I might have to do piece here, piece there, blah, blah, blah. Which one you want? If she rejects both of those things and she's putting the pressure on him, what you think that going to cause? A discomfort for him, and you don't care about my liability now. You don't care about how remember, I'm the one got to do the hard work, or I'm the one have to provide the money. So if you're not gonna understand that level or understand the situation, and you don't want to participate, you're just telling me, just coming up with you're not helping. That's not a good way. And it seems like that's how her mindset is. Like, that's, like I said, that's a single mom thing. That most single women come with those type of talking topics. Or if you want to use feminist or aggressive, or let's not just independent, right? Let's use the word independent. Women have those type of talking points where it's like, what about my opinion? What about what I say? Why not just do what I asked you to do? Because I don't want to do it, or if I do, and if I do it, it can cause more problems for me. But what you mean? Why can't you? I said, because you're gonna cause more problems for me. You know what I'm saying? She's not hearing that. Why don't you just hire somebody? No, it can cost more money to hire somebody, and I don't have the money right now. Then I said we could do it piece by piece. Yeah, but then they're gonna look ugly, and I don't want one. Why not just get it done? Because I can't do it one time. So we should just I just told you we don't have the money. So that's what I'm saying. That's what she sounds like. She sounds like the person who just want to argue and want things done the way she want it done, how she see fit, like, and then she good with it. No, time and money don't fall off a tree. It doesn't just work where you want it to be. Also, too, as time and money don't fall off a tree, as a human being, I have to prioritize my time. I have to prioritize how I use money to get things implemented and done, so it can be very satisfying to me in the men's world. So, and that's the thing. That's a lot of issues. Actually, there's a lot of conflicts that women have. A misunderstanding that women have, that like a man have to jump because they say jump. Actually, it's actually on the flip side, really and truly. Now, the intuition part, we get it. Sometimes we can be wrong, sometimes we can be right, but.
And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that no more. And I thought we talked about this 16 years ago, that I'm going to change my mind.
Not 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Melanie, do you and Jared, or have you had any like real disagreements or hard lines on a parenting decision that you had to navigate?
So I think I shared an example or a story on like a few episodes ago where we were at the park and
The
our
bicycle?
tires
Yep.
got
Oh, yeah.
That's
flat,
exactly what I was thinking
and we
about.
talked about like the best way to approach and introducing the concept of danger or bad people, or Jared was like, it was very interesting for me to hear his perspective and then think, like, that just sounds crazy. Like,
Yeah,
why would
yeah.
you even instill that level of fear in this 7-year-old right now? Like, it's uncalled for. Like, there's a different way to have that conversation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And we really did have a moment where like I was like, this is crazy. Like, and it actually amplified the fact that you can have a partner and think, okay, this is a good person. We're raising these kids together. I love that I chose to have kids with this person. But things come up along the way where you're just like, wait a second.
Yes.
Like, where'd that come from?
Yeah, where'd that come from? Like, what? That doesn't feel aligned with
Alright,
who
so
we
this,
are.
this is gonna be, I'm gonna, this is gonna be my end of the the stream. To comment on what she's saying, like I said, the first lady, she's a little bit more into the understanding of the role of a woman, even though she might have her own opinions. Of course, her own opinions do matters, but she seems to be a little bit more understanding where she could. Maybe she don't quite understand where the man is coming from, but she kind of like, okay, you the man, you know what you're talking about, so I'm not gonna push back. But my thoughts and my opinion still matters. You know what I'm saying? He's not taking away her thoughts and her opinion. She's just saying, okay, your idea seems fine. You're the man. That's what we're gonna do. If you feel that, you know, doctor and astronaut will be the next level, fine. 'Cause he's not saying doctor is not good. What he's saying is don't limit yourself to just being a doctor, right? The other lady, she just have a bad. She's an independent woman. She have a strong. She seems like she's kind of, I wouldn't say equal, but somewhat feel like her opinions matters just as much, or this is matters just as much as the man. There's really no, her leadership role in the household is not generally like a 60-40. It's more like a 50-50 or 55-60 type situation. Now, with this other lady that she was talking about the bike, I kind of got the gist of it already, so I don't really need to hear the whole thing. But to basically break down what she was saying, but from what I'm assuming she's trying to say is this: the little kid, probably had a flat or something like that, and in terms of them being in the park and trying to teach this kid protected things to do to protect themselves, while they're in the park, if anything was to happen or whatever, who they should go to, blah blah blah. And she's saying, why tell a kid at this moment in time, scareful, like being so, I guess, direct, if he was being direct at all, to scare the kid, to put this fear down, because it doesn't matter how old the kid is, they have to understand there's danger that can happen to them. And I think we enable kids to be too soft or too unrealistic in the real world. This is why a lot of kids grow up with a lot of weird mentalities as well, because we don't let, you don't have to tell them directly and graphically the situation, but you can break it down in a sense where, like, this can be dangerous, this can be bad for you, this can hurt you, you know what I'm saying? Don't do this, do this. You can be very direct, but a little bit more childlike direct, right? Kids need to know that things can happen to them, and you kind of have to let them know in some somewhat degree, that they don't want to experience it. You have to give them this. And some kids take it more lightly, some kids don't. So for the ones that don't, if you notice you're telling your kid, don't do this, don't do that, but they keep going back and doing it, you might have to be a little bit more graphical just to scare them so they don't do it. So I notice, women do this a lot, where it's like the man who she with for the last 10, however long, and then he finally, and he might not never been that way this whole life. He might have just changed in the progress of time that he been with her to be a little bit more aggressive with certain things, because he want to keep certain protection and certain respect around his surroundings, right? So he might decide, as you said, if you're in a crowd of people, sometimes it's always good to go for the biggest dude and mess him up real well, so that nobody is want to mess with you, or they're gonna leave you alone. So she's not understanding from that point of view. That's where he's trying to come from. Like, if something happens to you, and the kid, and you gotta explain to your kid that this is what could happen, or this is how, to prevent certain things from happening. Sometimes you gotta scare them, let them know, like, you don't do this, do this, don't let this happen, let this happen. You know what I mean? And you might have to put a little fear tactic in there so they can remember, like, oh shit. Like, for example, all right, this is gonna be my last point, and then number 2, like and share. I'm gonna do a lot more acting stuff like this. I have some content I want to bring out on my own, dealing with nature versus nurture, that the Bible, as well as the creation, the lies that we've been told. But let me put it like this: I have questions for things about humanity. Right? I have questions, but anyway, to what I wanted to say was this. This, my final part. Something for this. We, as parents, we have to understand that there's a way for us to survive in this place. And we have to stop lying and try to sugarcoat our world to this nurturing world. Like, people could come up with these new ideas and new inventions and all this new way of doing things. It doesn't have to be that way. And those new ways could be implemented, but don't take them to heart, like a full direction to change the nature scope of how a human's supposed to operate, because it's gonna throw off the balance of human behavior. It can bring a lot of fantasy and lies, and it's gonna cause a lot of problems. Not saying that even if you do it naturally, you're gonna have some people who want to go astray. Yes, that's fine. But even in those people who want to go astray, they're gonna understand, like, this is the best way. Because as they get older and as they go through life, they're gonna experience, like, yo, I should follow the direction because it's not working. Or I could still do what I want to do, but I have to understand that it's not the best way to go. I can manage it, but maybe everybody else can't manage it. That's just what I want to do. And what you want to do is good for yourself. You don't need to influence that onto nobody else. If anything, you could find people who is interested in you or like you, but it doesn't mean the masses of the world want to be like you, or could deal with it. Because human nature always reverts back to itself. Because even people who feel like they can be abnormal, I can guarantee you that they do go through a point in their life or go through experiences, or even just, the recognition of, like, you know what, am I normal? I'm pretty much sure that they think like that. Because everybody else is not doing this. I'm the only one. Right? So, with that said, situation, they all have good points. But to me, with her and the other lady with the heels, seems to be a little bit more grounded in their relationship, and understand that, the man kind of makes, some decisions, and the decisions that he makes is, of course, it's not to hurt the family or to do anything bad, but it's logical. He had to go through these thoughts and understanding how to do things. Her opinions do matter, her ideas do matter, and her ideas and opinions might be well better than his, right? The other lady, she's the one in the black, she's a little more feisty, she's a little more pushbacky. She's struggling to deal with it, but she's been so in control of things, and if you want to say feminist point of views, not saying she's a feminist, but she's using the feminist point of views to kind of, like, and she don't understand that she said it herself, but she's just nitpicking the little things, and then when the big thing blow up, she don't understand that she's the one who's doing it. You know, sometimes women need to sit back and watch their men and analyze their men and see what's, and like, baby, is you okay? What's in your head? Like, and sometimes we don't like to explain it, yes, but you have to observe the things around him and be like, okay, I think I'm doing too much. I think I'm, I mean, don't I leave, I know I do leave things around the house myself. And when I come back, it's gone or it's moved. Or he does little things like making sure that the keys is put away, or he put hot water in the coffee pot so I could get my coffee. He do spend times with the kids away from me so I could get my alone time. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, with that said, until the next time, like and subscribe.